I'm Andreas, I'm a software developer. I get paid to do that at Dynatrace. I'll also do it for free in my spare time for projects I'm maybe getting paid one time. The thing is, I live very far from Vienna in Amstetten, and I have a commute of roughly about an hour. And you will see why this is important later. This title was a bit of a clickbait. It worked. So I wanted to come clear with you right from the start. This is actually about me finding the perfect, heavy air quotes, development setup for myself. And I haven't found it yet. I hope some of you could give me some inputs to that later, or just tell me I'm crazy. What are you doing with your life and your money? Let's see. So I dug in the archives of my Google Photos and looked up what is the earliest image I have of a development setup of mine, and I found, I think that this is now being renovated. This is really one of the first one. I'm kind of proud. You see the mouse already has a very secondary role on this picture. I had a popcorn machine once, crazy stuff, and look at that screen management. You even see the desktop peeking through so many pixels unused on such a tiny screen. I can't even look at it. Digging through the old stuff, I also found this thing, which is a calculator I had during my days in the higher technical school. And I saw, this has a programming feature. You can write basic programs on that thing. So I was always programming on the go already back then. I remember I tried to do some games on it, and I even used up all 26 variables it had. Yeah. So back then already I had a long commute to the school, so I programmed on the go. I was always like this, it seems. Okay, so certain definitions of perfect. What is my definition of a perfect development setup? I want to be independent of any big company or any subscription. That's why I actually switched from IntelliJ to VS Code about a month before they brought out a free version of their tool. So yeah. Anyway, it should also work everywhere. As I said, I have the commute, and I want to use the same tools at home as I do at work, and ideally also on the train in between or wherever I get a spare minute, which is not that often, but when I do, I would like to do some coding on the side. It should also be ergonomic. Just ask my wife. By the way, speaking of my wife, oh yeah, it should also work offline ideally. Well, that's not so easy anymore if agents are involved. So talking about my wife, it also needs to get approval from procurement, which is my wife, who luckily keeps me from wasting my money on too many gadgets and toys. Okay, so let's talk about tools. One of the most important tools we as developers, and I'll include feel included, one of the most important tools we use. Oh, sorry. Yeah. See, that's what. Let's talk about a good tool. Okay. I myself am lucky enough to not have to wear glasses yet. Glasses are almost the perfect tool because to the wearer they become invisible. You can wear them all day. You need a prescription, but not a subscription. They enhance what's possible to you without kind of being hindrance to you. They're really ergonomic. So I'm talking regular glasses right now. Okay. What are the tools we developers are using? Now I have the right slide. First and foremost, keyboards. And about a year ago, a keyboard of mine broke down, so I bought a gaming keyboard, but not because of the LEDs, not purely, but mostly because of its switches, because I could switch out the switches if they break down, so I don't need to, next time, buy yet another keyboard if just one tiny switch breaks. But of course, I had to, I got sucked down this rabbit hole, and this happens to me a lot, as Max knows. And I had to try out all the switches. So I went to MediaMarkt and tried all the keyboards. And in the end, I think the Cherry Brown are fine for me. If you have other opinions, please let me know. Talk to me afterwards about switches. Then the thing was, now that I have these mechanical switches at home, I need them at work as well. My coworkers need to hear when I'm working. So luckily, a colleague of mine sold me his mechanical keyboard, and it happened to be a split keyboard, which is super nice because it's way more ergonomic than the other one where you start to hunch, or I at least start to get like a shrimp. And this one is also nice because it's coming from a company that has great tools to program them, and that's another rabbit hole I try to not get too far into. So as you see, that the keys are different. They're ortholinear and not staggered, which is also nice for your fingers, but it has way too many keys. Now I had such a nice keyboard at work, I thought I need to upgrade at home as well. Well, in the end, I got this one, which I have right here. That was too expensive, but I can now take it with me wherever I go. It can emulate the mouse, so one less device I need to buy. That doesn't qualify the price, not at all. But it has mechanical switches, and I told my wife, you know, for a tool I use every day, so many hours, it might be worth it. Let's see. Also, I had to learn, to get used to it. So that's also why I wanted a keyboard I use everywhere and not have to switch back and forth. I once tried to switch to an English keyboard that got me the nickname Taranetti. You see why. So it took me a few, by now 100 training sessions to get used to this layout, even though it's kind of like the regular German QWERTZ. But I have a few extra layers on top, of course, for special characters. And as you can see, this also lets you emulate the mouse, which will be important later. Pretty cool keyboard, and the best thing, why is it independent? All the smarts are in the keyboard. I can program dynamic macros and stuff, even if I'm not in Vim, by pressing some combination, doing some keystrokes, and then replaying them. All the smarts are in the keyboard, so wherever I plug it into, it works without additional software that would then only work in Windows or Mac, and probably never on Linux. So I can highly recommend it, even though it's maybe too expensive. All right, yeah. I didn't try to get into a more efficient keyboard layout. I was tempted to, but as I said, I couldn't even get Y and C switched up in my brain. You know, sometimes my wife sits at my computer as well, so maybe it's a good idea to not go full Workman or Colmark or something. And sometimes you use devices that have regular keyboards. So QWERTY it is. All tools also kind of assume you are sitting in front of a QWERTY keyboard. All right, as I said, let's get out of this rabbit hole and straight into the next one. So we talked about inputs. What about output? Of course, other tool all we developers use are monitors. And again, I could convince my wife to spend quite a lot of money because I'm looking at it for a long time. There are so many ways you can arrange your monitors. I tried a lot of them, starting from kind of neutral goods to more chaotic setups during my first startup I worked in. Then this was in my previous company, and you saw it gets more chaotic. But this is nice if you learn Docker and Kubernetes and need to read a lot of reference manuals. And you see, it spreads. My colleague had the same setup in the back. Then I made the mistake and looked at Reddit, and people have the craziest setups, and the most crazy people are day traders. And you know somebody's into finance when even their monitors are a pyramid scheme. Okay. So in the end, I thought maybe let's close Reddit. Maybe less is more. Maybe I should get just one decent screen. And for a while, I had a Surface Pro 4, mostly because my my notebook and my tablet got stolen, and I wanted a combination of both. Yeah, don't leave your stuff at a Starbucks. I wanted the combination of both, and actually this worked quite well. I've written my whole diploma thesis on this thing because it has a high resolution, so you can fit quite a lot of windows on it. Speaking of Windows, for an operating system called Windows, window management was not their highest priority. So the thing is, you don't need to manage your windows if all of them would just fit on your screens all at once. And that's why, as I said, I could convince my wife to get a bigger screen, and this is actually kind of the same setup as I have at work. But you notice a few things here. First of all, that's way cleaner than it usually is. Usually my kids leave stuff there. There is so much white wall behind it. That's all in my field of view. That could all be pixels. It's all, and also I can't take this one on the train. It's a bit too heavy. So what do you do if you can't buy a bigger monitor? You need to get closer to it. And that brings me to headsets. So as many people during COVID, I got a VR headset, and that's basically just strapping monitors directly in front of your eyeballs. Let's see in a few years when the studies are done how healthy that is. My issue with headsets in general is the marketing. There is this dream of if you have a VR headset or an AR headset, there will be so many new ways you can interact with your tools. And actually Meta, now that I've used their tools, I see where the millions were spent. And they really tried hard to figure out ways to do hand tracking. And I'm still waiting for somebody to crack new ways of interactions. So far, it has not arrived. Let's see what's possible today. I think that's the most interesting. So before we look into the different, or I show you a few different devices, I want to quickly recap what is AR, VR, and MR, because you hear these terms thrown out, or sometimes it's just abbreviated with XR. I guess most of you already own an AR device, which is basically your headphones. You take reality and then you add a layer on top, like a soundtrack to your life, or just music for coding. But most headphones today also have a VR mode where they cancel out reality and replace it with just your sound. So that would be I know it's German, that would be the noise canceling on the left. And what Meta sells as MR is kind of like the transparency mode, or it's sometimes also called pass-through. You take reality, you record it, and then you replay it through the device. But you still block out reality, more or less. And then you can be selective, like how much reality do you feel like today? Actually, yeah, okay. Let's go on, I don't have too much time. So what's actually available today? There's a nice website called VR Compare, and I picked a few glasses that I don't have the money to buy. Honestly, what I want to show you is there are so many categories of devices. There are these things that are mostly display glasses that hide behind things that look like real glasses, but if you ever saw them in person, they are like an inch in front of your face, so they still look dorky, all of them. Then there are these standalone smart glasses, like only the Meta Ray-Ban currently is, but this one is also way too expensive and has a battery life, a few hours. It only has a monocular display, so this is not the I see windows all around me. Also the other ones, I've tried them. You don't have windows all around you. They have a very narrow field of vision. Otherwise, you would not, it just would not work. Physics is hard. Let's keep it with that. So if you don't do so these were the AR glasses. You see reality and then you layer something on top. But what is, I would say, more useful for work are VR glasses, where you maybe skip reality and just focus on the stuff you should get doing. They all, or sometimes they look like they are passed through because they have glass in the front. That's a bad idea. Don't put glass or metal on your head. It's too heavy. Apple. They use pass-through, most of them, if at all. They record reality and display it on the internal displays. And yes, the Steam frame is already in there, but they have not told us yet what it will cost. I'll guess around €1,000, so also way too high. You see why I went with the Meta Quest here. It is heavily subsidized, I guess. It's a great hardware for this price. Yes, it's a bit older, and I would still recommend it to people over the newer Meta Quest, which let's talk later. All I want to say is you can't just go by the pixels. It's about the whole optical stack. How far spread are these pixels? What are the lenses made out of? What display types are there? It's really a mess, and don't get too impulsive with your wallet. Okay. The thing is, so I got this VR headset. Yes, I played with it, and I thought if I want, that was on the Quest 2, and I thought if I want to get a Quest 3 and I use it for work, I can also deduct it from my taxes. So could I work with it? Well, if you use it as a monitor replacement, you could, but you need a bit of an additional software. By now, actually, you could add a video adapter and just pass in any video signal and then see it as a window inside the Quest, but that's boring. Then I have one screen again. That's not what I came here for. So Meta itself, or themselves, they created a, whoa, sorry. Come on. They created a tool called Horizon Workrooms. And it has a co-working space and stuff like this, but that's not so interesting right now. I made a video of how this looked like back when it was still working on Windows. Now it does not work on Windows 10 anymore. I would need to upgrade to Windows 11. Wow. Let's not talk about that. You see, Meta went for the lawful good layout. It's nice. It's almost like your headphones have noise cancelling. You have visual noise cancelling. So even if my desk is super cluttered, I am in my happy place. I can. Honestly, during COVID, this helped me get into a flow state by not being in my room anymore. You're so easily tricked to think, oh, now I'm at work or I'm in the co-working space. If you are in a multiplayer environment with other people. So this kind of did the trick, but I wanted more. And I found this app, which I will show you right now. And for this, I'll need to make sure the hotspot is here. The screen should be, nope, was right the first time. I'm holding it wrong. I brought my Chromecast to show you. Come on, do it. Yes. So while I set this up, I'll explain what's going on. There's an agent on my MacBook that is tricking the MacBook into thinking, oh, there are 5 monitors. And even though this only supports 2 physical ones, which is nice. Wait, am I already casting? No. No. Oh, no. Oh my God. And of course, come on. It tells me I'm already casting. Why? Yeah, actually, turn it off and on again. Let's see.
Is it the correct HDMI?
It's fine. It's the interface here in the glasses that are tricking me. Oh my God! Why? You know what? I'll reboot this one. Of course, I tried this before, and of course the live demo fails. In the meanwhile, I can show you a recording I did in case this breaks. So what Immersed is doing, it tricks the MacBook into thinking, oh, there are more monitors than it can actually support, compresses the video of all of them, sends it through ideally a USB cable, because Wi-Fi is just a bit too laggy. You want your monitors to be fast. To the Quest, and the onboard chipset is powerful enough to decode it, so you can really see 5, even more than HD-ish monitors at once. And here you can see me use, oh no, you can't because I switched back again.
Should we also reboot the Chromecast?
Reboot the Chrome, oh, actually, maybe that's the issue. No, maybe you're right. How would I reboot the Chromecast? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, let's do this. Of course. I need to tell you I'm on the preview deployment of the Meta Quest software. But
it's all Meta's fault somewhere. Yeah,
it's all Meta's fault somewhere. But this was always a very buggy thing, streaming. I'll sure I get it to work. So, okay, here you can see me using this while tethered to my notebook. And here I still used IntelliJ, which was nice because you can drag out all the tool windows. So you have like your file tree on one monitor and just the editor in this almost Zen mode in the middle, maybe a preview deployment of what you're working on at the top, and maybe by now it would be maybe your agent on the right and the terminal. And I know this maybe seems overwhelming. Oh yeah, and by the way, this is on the train. The MetaQuest, they developed a travel mode, so even if the train breaks or takes a turn, the windows don't glide away like they would with other display glasses, because they have really nice tracking. Okay, should we try again? Let's see.
First question,
yeah.
Do you get like any motion sickness in train?
Actually, good question. So, no, because I see what I see and what I perceive is, yeah, please Max, switch the inputs. Oh, now it could work. Yes, I see the Chromecast. There we go. Okay, switch it to the other HDMI. Yay! Okay, thanks so much. Okay, I think I already started the agent here. Oh, and now I see myself. Nice. So, now I don't get dizzy. No, you will get dizzy. Yeah, it's okay. So good question. So for me, it's not dizzying because I see it really looks like I'm looking through the glasses. They have 90 hertz or something, and at that speed, yeah.
Do you also see the loading screen right now?
Yeah, I see the loading screen. I'll just act like I'm still watching you. Okay, there we go. You see. This is the mixed reality I was talking about. You see still your real hands or your tracked hands, depending on. Does this work? Yeah. And there we go. 5 screens. You see my beautiful VS Code and NeoVim and maybe a Slack. And you can of course just take that monitor, and if you're not like looking at your Slack, put it away. And the thing is, you don't manage your windows. You just look over. Oh, nothing happened, I can continue coding, and you can imagine having more agents there. And the thing is, if I'm on a train, I probably use this mixed mode where you see I can still see my surrounding, and that was a glitch that almost made me trip. Yeah, so as soon as the frames drop, your vision and your perception get disaligned, and then you're getting dizzy. But as long as it's 90 hertz, it's all fine. So quite impressive what this cheap hardware can do. All right, that was the first demo. Let's disconnect. Ha, looks always stupid. I'd rather use this pointy thing. Okay. All right. Max, can you switch back? Do I still have more time? Let's see. Yeah.
How often do you miss your train station?
No, with this one, never. As I said, I'm still hearing all the sounds. I'm still seeing everything. I once fell asleep on my way home, but that's a different story. I can tell you later. Okay, so.
We don't see anything, by the way.
Yeah, I told you to switch back. Oh. True. This is my reminder to touch some grass. Change to extending. Yeah, as you said, technology is new for us all.
This is the HDMI.
Yeah, it's the right one. It's the right one, but it's not extending mirror to external. Yeah. Stop extending. Or maybe the immersed agent is fighting it. Now there are 2 applications that want to tell the MacBook, oh, there are more screens. Maybe that was the issue. Okay, so I'll shut off the. I should have really tried this. Okay, entire screen, mirror. There we go. Let's go. Okay, so this was tethered to my notebook. And at home I don't have this super new MacBook, so. And I right now don't want to get a new PC or any new hardware, looking at RAM prices and everything. Could I do something without being tethered to a stronger machine? And the thing is, the MetaQuest already has browsers built in, and you can open up to 6 of them. And actually most of the work we do on the daily is happening inside a browser, and it can look something like this. So as you can see, I still maybe get what station we are at and see if somebody's trying to pick my or steal my phone or other stuff. And this is just things you can do on device. Yeah?
Are you then tapping and swiping on?
Yeah, I was about to get at that. That's actually a new experimental feature they just added a few weeks ago. That's called the Surface keyboard. That's why I'm on the experimental version of the OS. They released so as much as I love my keyboard, it's nice if I maybe don't need to bring it along all the time. I managed to get 50 words per minute, and it works better the less you think about it and just do what you're trained to. But it's too small, and you see it has no escape key. There are no control keys. There's no way to exit NeoVim, so that's not for me. But it has a touchpad and it works surprisingly well. And yes, I bring a bottle of disinfectant if I'm touching the train. Yeah. Okay. So if I use a good IDE, maybe the browsers are already enough. And if you know GitHub, and maybe the site was up when you last visited, you maybe have seen the feature where you could just press dot in any repository and it spawns up a VS Code. So if you're used to VS Code, you can have the same tool wherever you have at least a browser. But it's missing the terminal. And yeah, you can go in and create a code space and they spin up a VM for you and you can configure it with all your tools and stuff. But then I'll get charged by the minute or only, I don't want to have a clock ticking in the back. It's already bad enough with the agent token limit, so I don't need more of that. And actually not all the extensions I'm used to are working in this thing. As you can see, when I switched over from IntelliJ to VS Code, I thought, should I try to make VS Code behave like an IntelliJ and I keep the same key bindings? Should I give in and learn the VS Code key bindings? Or should I do something completely different and learn NeoVim bindings and bring them into VS Code, which works surprisingly well? Which brings me to almost the last point. With the right IDE, all you need is a terminal. So as I'm a lazy person, I went in and explored LazyVim, and there was a nice. There's more. If you ever want to try NeoVim and you want to look like a cool hacker, LazyVim is the easy part. You can enable the plugins as you go and learn the key bindings, and maybe someday I'll learn them as well. Actually, this whole presentation was built in NeoVim. That's like shot on an iPhone. Okay, so nice. I have this terminal on my MacBook. I can use this terminal on my old private machines at home. But how good do I get the terminal on the go? Turns out you can install an app that launches a terminal for you. Can you switch back to Chromecast? Thanks. There we go. Let's do the whole screen and hopefully nobody texts me anything weird. There we go. That's my phone right now. And I use this moment to show a website I built for sharing recipes. And I noticed there is the Germteigstriezel and there is another Germteig recipe and I want to replace one of them. So I can, of course, attach my keyboards so I can justify the money I spent on it. Open Termux, which is a terminal that uses the actual kernel of the Linux in Android. How cool is that? And of course I have my... Say again?
Sudo -rm.
There is no sudo, I'm already root. Okay, so here I have my recipes project. I can go in and the süße Germteig, this was the one. I delete this one. Then I'll open up, that's LazyGit. And you should learn LazyGit, it's so nice. Let's commit this, remove, duplicate recipe. There we go. Uppercase P to push. And it's done. Look at rezepte.taranetz.com, it should be removed. By the way, I made a nice schnitzel last week. Okay, so that was terminal on the phone. And actually I use this sometimes when my wife finds a typo on the site or I need to add something, or actually I once debugged the website while I was on the go. The thing is, well, now it's on my phone. And as you notice, the screen is not the biggest. Yes, you can by now connect external monitors to the pixel line, but they can only be HD, and as you've seen me, that's not enough. So,
I have switched back already.
yeah, maybe. So that was Termux. Yeah, get it from the F-Droid store. Let's switch back to the Chromecast. Yes. So how do we get Termux on the MetaQuest? The thing is, this thing below all the MetaCrap runs actually Android, which is a solid choice for a kind of mobile hardware. So let's plug in the keyboard now to the Quest. I'll try to start the streaming again and hope it works first time. There we go. Works perfectly. Okay. Do you see anything? Yes. Okay. Okay. As you can see, since this is Android, I have my cursor in here. I can, and they try to hide this because it's sideloaded. Oh yeah. So that's the thing. I sideloaded the APK of the F-Droid store on the MetaQuest, so I can download any other applications that don't need Google services directly from this thing, and also can update it through the store. So for all the crap that Meta is doing, I need to give them props for opening this thing up to developers and allowing sideloading of applications. And I think everybody who builds hardware should have developer modes in them. And here you see the thing in action. That's Termux running on the MetaQuest natively. So even if GitHub is down, I can still develop my stuff. But then, of course, why do I even use NeoVim and everything? We only use agents anyways. So do you even need Termux? Do you even need NeoVim? Turns out you don't. All you need is OpenCode, which has a nice web version, so I could open 6 of them and have 6 agents running at the same time. Please start. There we go. So you see, I don't need any way to emulate weird interfaces. I can just start cool tools that already provide web interfaces. So this is still kind of local if you cut out the part where it calls the agent. And if I decide that maybe at some point I won't learn all the NeoVim key bindings, I would still be able to just open code server locally here. So I don't have this clock in the back running for every minute I'm using it. And I could start my own local VS Code on the Quest. And this is not as deep as this rabbit hole goes, trust me. You can, since Termux is using the kernel of Linux, and it has a bit of a different file system since it's an APK, there are certain limits, but you can get around them by installing a whole Android that is kind of emulated. So I managed to install Arch on this thing as well, and there are even applications that allow you to have yes, there are even applications that allow you to start a graphical user interface on top. Wait, I don't see you anymore. Let's put this aside. Okay, so what's my conclusion? As you see, this is, I just touched or scratched the surface of how deep this could go. There are so many pitfalls and things you need to get around when you run Termux, because it's not a real Linux, but then I don't want to do too much virtualization, otherwise it gets too slow even for that hardware. But one thing I figured is, what I found crazy is, with all this fancy hand tracking and Surface keyboard, having a regular keyboard and a regular terminal is still the ultimate developer setup. Thanks.